Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live chat. I am super excited for this conversation. I'm having it with my guest, Ms. Dawn Dominguez of the Windows of Hope Counseling Center. And today we are going to be talking about what it means to be doing the healing work or the inner work that is required to heal. So, hey. So for everybody that's joining, I can't wait to get into our discussion. And I am going to be inviting my guest, Dawn Dominguez, to start our conversation about what it means to actually dig deep into the healing work and the inner work that's required to engage in the healing process. All right, hello to everybody joining. Welcome. Please feel free to put all your thoughts, questions, and things you want to discuss in the chat, and we will get to it throughout the discussion. Thank you all so much for being here today. For those who are just joining, the discussion is all about doing the inner work that is required to.
Oh, hi, I see myself now. Wonderful.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. Like, for those of you who don't know, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you started like Windows of Hope?
Yes. I started Windows of Hope in 2006 or 2007. Honestly, what brought that up for me is that I wanted to practice the way I wanted to practice. And a lot of the ways that marriage and family therapists were restricted. And if I had my own thing, I was able to really create a journey that had my mission and my focus, which was really to help couples connect. And I had the benefit of meeting Herbal Hendricks somewhere in that time period, that same time period. And I wanted to actually started imago therapy, imago relationship therapy. And I really wanted to do that. And anywhere that I tried to or to practice with, anybody I wanted to practice with, it didn't seem to fit. So I just learned, hey, I want to do it my own way. And I really wanted to help the community by offering some affordable counseling. So it was really important to me.
Really appreciate like how you just want to do things like on your own terms, because the industry was just had so many constrictions as to the therapy that you wanted to offer. And like, speaking of therapy and everything, our discussion for today is about doing the inner work or the healing work during the healing process. And so Dawn, with like all of your expertise like in the mental health world, can you explain like in your own words, what do you think it means to do the inner work?
Well, there's a few different components to that, right? One is the 90-10 assumption, which means 90% of everything I'm experiencing right now actually happened in my past and is part of my experience of my life. And 10% is actually happening right now, waking that up, right?
Wow.
If I got a splinter, let's say, I don't know, 10 years ago, I get a splinter in my foot and I don't get it out, right? It's just chilling in there. 10 years later, guess what? Now I've got pus, I've got infection, why does my toe hurt? I got to get that splinter out. And so at the most basic level, we have some implicit memories in our body of some experiences that we've had, and we're now acting them out or getting our feelings hurt, or they're getting rubbed on, and that is what's actually hurting me, right? Some of that old stuff that's still sitting in there that my body remembers. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like, kind of reminds me of the body keeps score. Every like thing that we've ever experienced is like, stored in our bodies and our memories. And it's like a lot of things that you don't really think about. Like you said, you could be like having a conversation with someone and then something just like triggers that. And then automatically you're back 10 years ago where that incident started. So can you tell me, why do people have like such a hesitancy to do the inner work? Like, I see in the comments, like, yeah, that sounds like a nasty toe problem. Get that fixed, right? But we need to get it fixed, but we're kind of hesitant to do the work. I know, speaking for me, it's a lot of work. So like, where does that hesitancy come from, do you think?
I think it's painful to sometimes in the beginning to start to pull that out, and it's scary. I really need to feel safe with the person that I'm with so I can do that work, right? And so that I can create the environment that I need to have the most comfortable experience I can have with that share. When I say the thing, it's been in there for so that I've made it into something even bigger than most likely. Some things are really big, don't get me wrong. Some of the things that we've experienced are really, really big. And they're scary to revisit. And sometimes we need to revisit it so that we can help ourselves know that we're not there anymore. The old brain at the top of the brain stem, that part of our body remembers certain things physically, and it doesn't know time, and it doesn't know direction. So it has no idea that we're not experiencing it right now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I'll say it one more time just so that everybody can really feel that one. My body and my old brain, my reptilian brain, does not know time. It doesn't know yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it does not know who's talking, and it doesn't know what it's hearing. It doesn't know where that direction is coming from. So if I had a very traumatic event when I was a little one, when I was let's say 5, which is true, I have that, and then I hear a sound, let's say, that I heard when that was happening, my body does not know it's not happening right now. And that's what post-traumatic stress disorder is. That's what trauma-related disorders are and how they.
Wow. Yeah. And it's so interesting how trauma affects like your nervous system, because it's like you said, you don't know whether it happened now versus like back then. And
Yeah.
it can be traumatizing to kind of like go back into that wound to examine it, open it up, and like really engage in the healing process. And so, in light of that, how does someone begin to start that process of like doing the inner work and really assessing the source of that trauma and getting to the root of it?
I think that the way to start is to find someone. We heal in relationship. We heal in the we-ness of it, in the connection. We heal in connection, right? In a compassionate connection. And so if we can find someone that we can really feel connected with, that knows how to do that kind of work, right? Then I can do that. I can actually practice that with somebody, and then I can get to the other side of it. And a lot of the behaviors, the adaptive behaviors that I learned when I was little, that's something else to maybe bring in to this, because they're getting in my way, right? Whatever it is, whether I'm hiding or I'm hailstorming or I'm, let's say, drinking, I'm taking a substance of any kind, or I'm exercising too much, or I'm whatever it is that I'm doing to help soothe that sore, that pain, right? It could be getting in the way of my everyday life, right? And so if I can find somebody to help me find wherever that source is, find the splinter, then we can pull it out, and then we can actually soothe that space and create maybe some behaviors that could be more healing.
Yeah, I really agree. And I wanted to highlight really quickly a powerful comment right here from MW Bassett 2010. And it says, truth about ourselves is an enlightened process. It requires hard work on our parts, then letting go. Allows us to see things differently, focus on where we're going, not where I'm pretty sure it's where you've been at the end. That's yeah, like I totally agree with that. It's like confronting like your like inner demons or past trauma, like whatever you want to label it in. That takes a lot of like work and depth that you have to examine for yourself. And I love what you said just now about healing and connect, because it's true. We need people to be able to not only hold us accountable, forward in our healing process. I know for me, my support system has been just one of the biggest helps in terms of managing bipolar disorder and going through that journey. And I'm just like so grateful for like my system, like online, offline, like my friends, family, like keep me going and really allow me to have that like honesty with myself and really move forward with that. So can you tell me about experience that you have with your support systems or a moment that was really helpful and allowed you to heal with connection?
You know, the one that comes to my mind, which is one of the most essential, is when I was 15 years old. I was a foster child as a little girl. And then at 15, I ran away from my home and I ended up in a safe house for a few months. And not a lot of people know about that. But in that place, there was a therapist, an amazing therapist and his name was Steve, and I don't know his last name. I wish I knew where he was now. But I saw him almost on the daily, right? Like it's pretty intensive, the work that I did in there. And he helped me know, he was the first one to tell me I was beautiful or smart or capable, all of these things that I really needed to hear. I decided I want to be a therapist. I want to help people. I want people to know they're heard. I want to offer that to the community. And so when I did that, I started to go to more classes and learn, and I finally graduated and all the things
Wow.
that it took to do that. And so I would say in that connection, in that essential connection, he helped me see the thing that I could accomplish. And we all can. It's beautiful. We really, really can. We just don't know we can.
Yeah.
We can. Yes.
That's true, because it's like when you're going through like trauma or past hurt, you're so close to it that you're not able to be like that. You can make the steps. And believe me, it is challenging work, and that's why we do need the people to come alongside you. And like you said, Steve was an integral part of your healing journey, able to highlight a lot of things that you could walk through and that you did have the capacity to face. And so, yeah, community is essential for sure.
Yes, yes. That the connection is where we heal, because that's where we're broken. It's connection that trauma happens,
Yeah.
right? And it's in connection where we heal. Both.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm seeing some comments also. One says healing behavior so profound. I'm from MW Bassett again. And then another one, I'm the queen. Jessica says the support system is everything. Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. And so I do want to ask about therapy because we've been talking a little bit about therapy and how it works. And so what are some of the benefits of therapy and how would you say that it helps your inner work and your process?
Therapy for me or therapy for my clients or for everybody?
Well, three.
All of it, all of it. Okay, so for me, that does create the essential connection. Myself and my therapist, myself and my client, right? We create that beautiful connection to heal and to share the things that we must never say out loud, that we can finally say, feel it, and learn to be with all of those emotions, right? And because a lot of it is we need to learn how to be and get comfortable with. I spoke with somebody earlier today that was, I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be sad. Right.
Mhm.
And what happens to that part of her as she pushes sadness away? That part is not included. We need to include all of the parts. Everybody's invited. All the parts of me are invited to the space, right?
Yeah.
All of them. The anxious part, the reactive part, the sad part is invited to the session, right? And then we learn to be in relationship with each part. And that's important. No parts of me are left out. No sadness is left out. The anxious part is not left out. In fact, I want to listen to her because she might know something that I don't know or I'm not aware of, right? That's a really smart part of me. The little girl that was in foster care and all that. She knows some stuff. She's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe she needs a little soothing or love or something like that too. That's just good therapy.
Yeah. That's like people don't realize a lot of the time that therapy helps you to, like you said, bring all the parts of yourself and really like ways that you can heal the whole self. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I first started there, I wanted to like get rid of the sadness. I wanted to get rid of like the anxiety and all the quote unquote negative emotions that I had. But you need the sadness to make you appreciate the joy. You need the anxiety and everything like that make you realize that, okay, I can be able to process these things and not get rid of it entirely, but it's part of my whole self. I love when you said that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask also about like healing those negative aspects of ourselves, right? Because I know sometimes we want to leave that in the past. So how can somebody who's like doing the healing work, how can they like bring all of themselves to the table and not neglect the negative parts? Or yeah, how do they like work through something like that?
Well, for me, I think that it's important to, I like this question. This is really, really important because there isn't anything negative about you or me. All those parts are beautiful and necessary. And I learned to be away when I was little to survive. And so we embrace all the parts. There is no negative part, or it doesn't matter what you've done. And I can feel that. I know people are thinking that, but I did this and I did that and all of that. No, that part of you knew how to survive and helped you. And now it's not working anymore. So now we'll make that shift, if that makes sense. So I think this is really, really important that we know that all of my parts are beautiful. All of your parts are beautiful and necessary. And they need to be invited into the room and find out what happened. Why did you have to show up that way? Why was that important for you? And then from there, we can relax that part. It's okay now. You don't have to do that anymore. Does that help a little bit or answer the question?
Oh yeah, that was perfect. And I really do love what you said about like, you learned how to like through your experiences. I mean, it wasn't like ideal and I'm sure you would never want to like nobody would want to go through that. But it's those like valleys that make
Mhm.
like all that more powerful for us. Like we don't have to like take the good or the bad. It's like happening in like the bad things like helped me to take care, like in my case, having bipolar disorder helped me to realize that I needed to take care of my mental health because for so long I put it on the back burner and didn't even address it.
Yeah.
And now it's about it. Now I'm like having this chat with you because I want to share my story with others. Like it's all of the bad and the good together that really make up the process. And we shouldn't like try to get rid of one over the other because they both work in tandem.
Yes, yes. And they were necessary. Without those behaviors and those adaptations, I would not have survived. Right? I wouldn't have. I was a runner. I ran. I ran away. And I'm learning how to stay present and move towards rather than away. But I'm absolutely a runner at heart. And it's the first thought I have 100% of the time. And then my second thought comes, and my third thought comes, and then I sit with the feeling and I stay and I connect, right? In whatever the experiences I'm having in that moment, as long as it's safe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to highlight again the comments are phenomenal tonight. We got raised flaws or flag flames. Sorry about that, Ray. He says, like, interesting. I'm always trying to get rid of my anxiety. I'm keeping it. Yes. And
Yes.
okay, they say, like, it's all valuable data. And then I'm the Queen Jessica says, make room for all of you. And then MW Bassett 2010 says, we have to learn to love everyone.
Yes.
It's to our growth. Yes, such a profound experience. Thank you, Dawn. Feel free to put them in the chat as well. But I want to ask another one. What are, like, if someone wanted to start their inner work, like, what are like tools that they could like start off with, or how did they go about seeking help?
Yeah, I would look, well, how would I start that? I would search practitioners, therapists who actually practice deeper internal work, and compassionate inquiry is one of the practices that I'm in right now. I'm in the 1-year intensive with Gabor Mate. I really like that work, and you can look that up online as well. There's some of us that are practicing it online as well. So if you're not in the area, we could do some online compassionate inquiry work. If they're interested in maybe doing some deeper works, psychodynamic therapy is also a nice way to go. If you're in a relationship, imago relationship therapy is a good one, and that's very deep, and it helps you pull out some of that. I also practice that. I'm certified in imago therapy. So if they really want to heal that part, we're available here at our center. I also know other people are wonderful. In particular, compassionate inquiry or imago relationship therapy is where I would look for that more deep inner work.
Yeah, I'm the Queen Jessica put the link in the can you explain a little bit about compassionate inquiry, because I've never like really heard of it before.
My goodness, it's so wonderful. And the sessions don't go necessarily as long, which is nice. We wouldn't need necessarily a whole hour. You go into the body, very similar to the body keeps a score, right? And we ask questions like, first we do a grounding, and then we start to ask questions like, what I'm experiencing in my body, the very first time I ever felt that way in my life, and what was happening around me. Who did I talk to? Who did I ask? Who did I share my scary experience with? And if nobody, then who? Can you share it with me now? Can we help that little one fulfill a need, right? We might explore an emotion that you're having. Oh, I'm experiencing sadness today. I'm experiencing anxiety. Well, can we ask the anxiety to speak? What would it tell me? If I asked what your sadness was saying, what would it tell me? Right? I might even explore an addiction. I have an addiction to, let's say, working out or alcohol or substance of any kind or pornography or whatever it is. We explore that. Well, how is that helping you? How is it serving you? Because it is, or we wouldn't be doing it. And what can I do instead? Right? But I might ask the body why or what's happening in it that it needs that, so that we can get in there and find what's going on. So we're also inviting in a little bit of internal family systems, allowing the different parts to speak. If my little girl could say whatever she needed to say, if the wiser me could say anything that it needed to say, right? And what would it say? Also inviting in John Bradshaw, some of his old stuff from the 80s. I'm kind of old school. I started back in the day. So I invite some of his stuff in to that process as well. But the process is really listening to the body, letting it speak, say what it needs to say in relationship, in connection, in safe connection, right? And then if you're in a relationship in a couple, I invite both in to do that work. That way that you can have a witness that you go home with that can actually support you as well. Both invitation. If they want to come alone, of course they can. Yeah. And we could do it online as well if they would like that.
Okay, this is the first time I'm like really hearing about that practice. I wasn't like well versed. Thank you for explaining that. I mean, we also have a question from Reset Trauma Unstuck that says, what is a good question to ask a new therapist to figure out if it's a fit? That's a good question.
Oh my goodness, that is a really good question. I would say there isn't one specific question. I would go visit with the therapist and feel what you're feeling in your body. Your body's going to tell you the truth every single time. Now there's going to be some fear no matter what, but you'll know if you're building a good connection or not. And I think that's the most important part of the process, no matter which theory they're using. That connection is really the most important part of the healing process that you have with that person. How is your body responding to them? And if you look at any of this old research by Virginia Satir, who's amazing, she wrote a book called The New People Making Everyone, if you're interested in it. But she talked a lot about the body and the experiential process, the humanistic experiential process of connection, right? And that my body is actually noticing in that therapist something from my past, somebody from my past, a safe person, an unsafe person. So I listen to that too, because it's really important that we don't fight that. We listen to the body until we find, don't be worried about that. Every time I meet with somebody new, am I a good fit for you? And if I'm not, let me help you find somebody that is. And if the person is not doing that for you, I wouldn't stay either.
Yeah, like that was a great question because
Yeah.
like often know like how to gauge a new therapist, and this was my experience too in the past. Like I would stay with them for a longer period of time than I wanted to
Yeah.
because I was not sure, like go about this relationship and whatever. And I often ignore, like I call that I often ignore that instinct that I have because I'm like, okay, let me see, this might be as good as it gets. People don't realize that you can look for other therapists. Like you could shop around just like, you're looking for a doctor or you're looking for like maybe like a new job. Like you can shop around and there's nothing wrong going to someone new.
Yes, yes. I would not wait around for that. If it's not the right fit, I've gone to people one time and then not stayed. And in a kind way, I just don't think it's a good fit. And it really is about that. It's about goodness of fit. I have to feel so safe to talk about all those things from when I was little. I have to feel so safe. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Like if you don't feel like it's a good fit, because this is the person that you have to ultimately trust your therapist. And if you not there, then it's like it defeats the purpose of doing the work. And like you said earlier, Dawn, like you need that connection. If you don't have that connection, you're not going to be able to heal, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. And we actually have research that proves that these days, right? We've done a lot of research on what is the most important element to healing, and it's the connection with the therapist. Not the theory, it's the connection that matters most, right? And Harville Hendricks says something really interesting, and I really like this. A theory is only a lie in search of the truth. Okay, so I love that. I love that because it's true, right? Each of us is individual. We're an individual human with our own experience, and we are not meant to be grouped into a whole category of people. Okay. We are uniquely beautiful, and we've all had our own experience, and that matters. And so, yeah, we might have some tendencies that fit here or fit there, and that theory might be great for that. But the connection is the most important, that we're being heard and understood, right? So I'm listening to understand, not to respond. Very important. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you say there are some things like for someone who is seeking a therapist, would you say that there are some definite like check boxes or things that you have to look out for in order to find a really good one?
Checkpoints. We still go back to, are we educated in the way that we're meant to be educated to do this work? That's number one. Is the person have they achieved the education necessary for that process? That's one. But two, it's really about the fit. It's about the goodness of fit, right? It's about how am I connecting with that person? I would look for the psychodynamic. I would look for the one who does the deeper work. I would look for that. But I wouldn't, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, right? If you're interested in cognitive work, it's going to be different. If we're moving from the thinking brain, then it's different. But if we're working from the body, if we're really looking for that person and how would we find that? I would read their bios. I would look at their websites. I would ask them, do you do inner work? What is your practice like? A lot of the cognitive behavioral groups, some of them do it and some of them don't. So you have to maybe kind of check that out and see if they will go a little deeper with you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is good. That's very important to do your reviews beforehand and make sure you know what type of therapy you want.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So Dawn, I did have one last question before we wrap, right?
Uh-huh.
If any words of advice or words of encouragement for someone who's struggling with mental health, like what would that be?
Words of encouragement. You are worth it. You are deserving of love. Please do not wait around to have connection, to get better or be whole or something like that. That we can practice relationship right now in this beat, in this process. Stay in your beat. Don't live in tomorrow. Don't live in yesterday. They don't exist, right?
Right.
Be in your beat, and all of our beats are different. So be in yours, flow in that time. Please take your time. We have all the time in the world. No rushing. We're just going to relax and we're going to move into it, right? And we definitely, I would look for the connection. I would definitely look for that best fit that could help you meet that goal. Yes.
Well, Dawn, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me tonight. And thank you everyone for your participation, for like being invested into the conversation, for adding. Thank you all so much. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, everyone, have a good night.
Good night.